Hello, everyone. Hey, we're about to begin. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to today's togETHer Tuesday. And thank you for being here. I see lots of people here, and someone's there, probably someone's outside, and someone come later. At the first glance, today might look like a regular togETHer Tuesday, but today is actually something different. Today is not just a togETHer Tuesday. Today is also pre-cypherpunk and thinkers and simply. And also, today is not a standalone event. It's part of a longer conversation we're intentionally opening. So let me use 1 or 2 minutes to briefly introduce what is togETHer Tuesday, especially for those joining us for the first time. I saw lots of fresh faces. togETHer Tuesday is a weekly gathering at ETH ChiangMai. It's not a conference. It's not a pitch session. It's not about promoting your project. It's actually about talk about discussion, highlight space where people can show up regularly to share what they're working on or what they're thinking right now, and to spend together. We have a light dinner. Also today we have a small dinner. And some weeks are very technical, some are very philosophical. Some weeks are simply being in the same room together. The key idea is continuity, because communities don't form in one intense summit. They form through repetitions, trust, and shared ideas. So zoom out a little bit, you can see here. So this is part of ETH ChiangMai event. So what is ETH ChiangMai? It's more of a hackathon and more of a summit. It's a long-term Ethereum city experiment. It's designed for multi-week gathering that bring together builders, researchers, designers, and institutions, and local communities to explore how Ethereum is built, lived, and governed. The program unfolds in four seasons. We have bootcamp, hackathon, summit, and on-conference. For example, weekly community gathering, hackathon, public demo day, and, as I said, our summit. Allowing relationships, ideas, and collaborations to develop over time rather than being an intense 3 or 4 days. So also, ETH ChiangMai emphasizes human skill coordination, local context, and long-term thinking. It treats Ethereum not only as a technical system, but a social infrastructure that intersects with education, governance, culture, and everyday life. By situating the program in Chiang Mai, a city where local culture, global mobility, and alternative filters already coexist, ETH Chiang Mai serves as a testbed for how decentralized systems can remain open, resilient, and grounded as they scale. Each part fits into the next. So actually, starting tomorrow, the ETH Chiang Mai Hackathon officially begins. So far, we've gathered more than 100 hackers, developers, designers, researchers, and builders from all different backgrounds across countries and continents. The hackathon is not meant to be a closed bubble. If you're not hacking, we still encourage you to talk to the team, mentor if you can, or simply stay curious about what they're building right now. Because on the February 2nd, we'll host the Hackathon Demo Day at the Chiang Mai University Convention Center, which is only around 300 meters from here. And the demo day is open to the public, and it will take place in the afternoon. And luckily, I think there will be live streaming. You don't need to be part of a hacker to attend, so everyone is welcomed. And then on the 3rd of February, there's ETH Chiang Mai Future Summit, also at the Chiang Mai University Convention Center. And this year, the summit is focused at the Future Summit, under the theme, Make Ethereum Cypherpunk Again. I think you can see this logo all over the place. It's even on the wall. Because Ethereum was born not only as a technology, but as a cypherpunk experiment, an attempt to reimagine coordination, trust, and power in the digital age. As also we move into 2026, Ethereum is no longer marginal, it's becoming global infrastructure. And that raises a necessary question: how do we preserve Ethereum cypherpunk soul while scaling into a planetary system? So the summit exists at this exact crossroad. Across the summit, we'll explore several connected threads. First, human skill coordination, the pop-up society, which we're looking at experiments like Zuzalu and other temporary or local communities, and what they teach us about living Ethereum, not just using it. Second, cypherpunk values as a culture, not as a cult. Privacy, autonomy, and self-custody are no longer fringe ideas. The question now is how these values survive when Ethereum becomes part of everyday infrastructure and everyday life. And third is institutional responsibility and a long-term relationship. And Ethereum matures, who is responsible for its direction? What does credible neutrality mean at scale? And how do institutions participate without flattening diversity or local agency? Finally, education and Ethereum over decades, designing system not for hype cycles, but for generations. So Well, you guys can join our Telegram group and follow us on X. We'll release the Luma register very soon. And the summit is not about speculation, it's about alignment between values, institutions, and the lived reality Ethereum is entering. And Chiang Mai is not incidental. It's a city where local culture, global mobility, and alternative futures already coexist. So this is a brief introduction about tomorrow's hackathon and the summit we're gonna have. So on the entrance, I think we have QR code everywhere, so just join the group and join the X and just keep updated. So let's go to today's speaker. Today we have 3 speakers for the first part, and we have a short break, and then we move to the Cypherpunk and the Thinkers Assembly. This section ground our conversations looking at how Ethereum is built in different places and different thoughts, design philosophies. So now I'd like to introduce our first speaker, and she represents the Philippine Ethereum ecosystem. ETH Philippines is a community-led effort connecting local builder, educators, and organizers in the Philippines, while staying closely linked to the global Ethereum network. So let's welcome T and give us a short presentation about the ecosystem in Philippines and how they came together.
Thank you. Yeah. How do I play my slides? Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm going to talk a bit about the Philippines, but before anything, I would like to say that it's very different from what you would have expected and what we expected as well. The realities in the Philippines is just adoption appears different in different forms. So yeah, in the Philippines, nobody. Oh, yeah. In the Philippines, nobody really enters the ecosystem. Nobody really enters crypto for decentralization, credible neutrality, and permissionlessness. So we've gotten into crypto because we wanted to pay bills, or we're looking for ways to evade taxation, all of those questions. So very practical people looking for practical solutions, and that's how we got into learning how to download wallets, how to interact with decentralized applications. We have very crypto native population. I'd say about 10% of the Filipinos already own crypto. About 12 million of us, 12 million plus. And it's not mainly because we have informed financial decisions, but because we're forced to find ways to circumvent institutions and failures in our social structures. So yeah, when we started ETH, we were starry-eyed people who are very into decentralization, and we wanted to give away more power to the people. But as it turns out, as we interact more and more with the people who actually use crypto, we got the sober reality that people are looking for solutions to their problems. And yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. I think that taught people a lot of very basic things, like how to interact with the crypto, and they built communities upon it. Eventually, they learned the values that crypto represents, and I think that's important. So. Yeah, and the good news is adoption happened anyway. Whatever the reasons are, 10% of Filipinos now own crypto, and we're growing rapidly. We're adopting it into payments, remittances. Our government is even adopting blockchain systems that are EVM compatible, so very interoperable with the Ethereum ecosystem. So our crypto economy is predicted to grow about 114.7 billion dollars. That's how big our informal economy is. So I would say that the Philippines have like 49.7% unbanked people. So these are people who are relying on informal economies, and these are people who are looking for practical solutions that Ethereum might offer. Yeah, and we have institutional involvement as well. The government is not very averse towards blockchain. They actually actively seek inputs from the citizens. Whether they implement it or not is another story. But uh, the thing is, there's interest from upwards to downstream. So yeah. Now you can see Filipinos are very enthusiastic about adopting Ethereum and blockchain. Um, but a lot of us, a lot of us truly don't understand the full power of decentralization. And a lot of us, even though we don't understand it, we work with crypto native organization, not maybe not as technical people, but we work as marketers, we work as business developers, sales. So that's what Philippines is known for. We're more known for our soft skills than our technical skills. And that creates a huge vacuum inside the country because a lot of these people who work for crypto native organizations wanted to adopt the technology inside the country, and they don't have the technical backbone to actually implement it. And so that's why, sorry, yeah. So that's why we actually spent the whole 2025 bridging that gap. Yeah, so we did some education initiatives. We also initiate access gaps because not all of them can fly into places like this. A lot of you might be taking for granted that attending conferences and events like this is also a matter of privilege, like having strong passports, having the capital to be able to have the freedom to go to different places and learn different things. So many Filipinos don't have that. So ETH, what we did is we went around the archipelago and bring the global ideas into the local. Oh. Yeah, we also did bridge some mental framework gaps. A lot of them don't understand what is cryptography and all of that. So we did some basic workshops for that. And for the whole of 2025, we've grown so much that uh, that's all we did. We did workshops, we did some activations in different islands, and it received a lot of positive feedback from educational and government organizations because there is not a lot of loc- locally aware organization who is doing technical education on crypto. And yeah, we did it so much so that Ethereum Philippines became the ad hoc technical blockchain community of the Philippines. When you're part of ETH, people just assume that you understand how blockchain works, and they ask you questions regarding that. And I think that's important because uh, it's a multiplying force. When you understand something, you teach others. And in the Philippines, the biggest infrastructure you will have is social. So if you have the social currency, the trust of whoever you're talking to, then it's easier to transfer knowledge. Yeah. It won't do. Yeah, it wasn't popular. As I said, crypto communities in general are trading communities. They are very practical. They are asking, what is this for? So, yeah, the question is, why are we doing it? Because somebody has to. And another context about Ethereum Philippines is that we're not just one cities. We have we have coordination problems because we are physically different islands, and people cannot just travel to islands that easily, given the economic constraints. And each region has their own flavor. They have their own culture, so it's as diverse as you can see. I, w- I will introduce you to each of them. So this is ETH Mindanao, who is our most active community. They are very active when it comes to building and producing startups in the Philippines. And there's not a lot of convincing to do when it comes to adopting Ethereum in Mindanao. But the thing is, they are crypto native, but there are very few people who can actually program the things that they want to build. On the other hand, in Manila is where all the deal makers are. If you're going to Manila, you're likely to have a lot of do a lot of handshakes with many people and institutions as well. We often fly to Manila whenever any organization is asking for our inputs when it comes to blockchain technology. Oh. And then there's also Cebu. Cebu is full of developers who are actually blockchain averse, but is starting to warm up because they found out that Ethereum community actually has the technical backbone, and the and the full rabbit hole is just unraveling to them just this year. So this is when we did a huge open source festival in Cebu. It's actually the biggest in the Philippines, and those are the whole community there. Yeah, so adoption happens in different ways. Some started with development, some started with being users, and some started with just plain having your school require you to attend a certain event, like in Baguio. So my call is, if you want to see crypto from a different lens, if you want to see crypto from a social lens, from a practical lens, then please meet us in the Philippines. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. What we see here is Ethereum community ecosystem doesn't grow in isolation, even we have some constraints. But on the personal, institutional, and educational level, it's all flourishing. And now let's welcome our second speaker is Rick from USDD 8.5. Rick is currently working at OpenZipline with over 6 years of experiences auditing and securing major DeFi protocols and layer 2s, rather than focusing on the product. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what's the motivation and behind it, and the security gaps and assumptions that still shape the industry today. This is a conversation about risk, trust, and responsibility in DeFi. So please welcome Rick.
How many here are DeFi users? Okay, oh, not that many. Okay, so this, if you're not DeFi users, this talk might be a little bit technical, but hopefully you can get something out of it. So my name is Rick. I am a security auditor at OpenZipline. I audit mostly frontline DeFi protocols and L2s like Uniswap, Aave, and Arbitrum, ZK-Sync, Optimism, and the Ethereum Foundation as well. So today I wanted to talk to you about putting my mom's savings on chain. $2.3 billion was the amount of money that's stolen from the blockchain in 2025. And that's, on average, that would be equivalent to about 1.2 million moms living here in Chiang And in a total number, it would be around 3 the size of Chiang Mai moms together. And this graph shows you how many money was stolen on chain. This includes protocol hacks, includes social engineering of people's wallet being compromised, as well as all different kind of shenanigans on chain. If you're on chain, you probably know what I'm talking about. And this graph shows you the ongoing observation that we see from a security point of view, that the crime on chain has evolved a lot lately from individual hackers to a group of hackers working together to recently we start to see, not that recently anymore, nation-backed activities like the Laos group from North Korea, for example. This is quite concerning, to be honest, because we don't know in the future any other nations or oligarchies, for example, could be back up a bunch of hackers sitting somewhere in the dungeon and then try to steal money on chain. This is a dystopia that we actually quite fear. There are quite a few more worrying trends in the security space right now on chain, and these are the things that we wanted to solve from as soon as possible, but I would like to bring it out so everyone here can be aware of them. First of all, this year in particular, we start to see OG protocols, OG DeFi protocols get hacked, namely Balancer and Young Vault. These OG protocols are the ones that we've been using for years. The community use them on a daily basis. I actually audited the Balancer V1, and they're a great team. They're not malicious at all, but they still got hacked. No one was prepared for this. It's quite concerning. My personal guess is AI assisted, as we see AI start to get more and more smart, and then we see them start to compose attack vectors on chain that we as human programmers usually don't tend to do. This is not a good news. And we've seen a rise of kidnapping in a physical way, which is really terrible. So we see people get kidnapped and abused for their passphrase, for the seed phrase. And this is bad because it is something that's hard for us to prevent from an on-chain point of view, because it's quite individual and physical. And we're also seeing Gresham's law plays quite often here, and it just basically means that if you have too many bad actors in the space, the good actors is going to get squeezed out. People wouldn't want to play the game anymore. We start to see people publicly announcing on chain after a lot of years working in the crypto space. They say, I'm done with this space. I don't want to continue anymore because too many scams, too many bad actors. It is not what I signed up for. So these are quite worrying from a security point of view. This is not the crypto that I personally signed up for when I started working in crypto about 7 years ago. So how can we solve this problem? We need to dive deep into the crypto beginning, the philosophy that we built crypto on, to look for answers. If we look at the problem we currently have, basically speaking, we're taking a centralized power out of the society, let's say the bank, away. And then now everyone here are completely equal. No one has a special right or higher power than any other people. This is great because we can stop the bank from abusing that special higher power that we don't want them to. Corruption is one of the most notorious problems human society faces right now. And we solve that problem. However, central power can also do good things in a sense. For example, they enforce orders. If your bank credit card gets charged by an unknown vendor, you can actually call up your bank, say, hey, can you place a chargeback? The money comes back straight to you. And then we don't have that on the blockchain. This is a problem. Arguably, it is a little bit irresponsible at the moment for me to bring my mom's savings on chain because she's going to get hacked. And there's no level of protection. And it is not something that I think it is responsible at all in this stage of where crypto's at. We look at how anarchism and traditional small group of communes, how do they organize themselves without a central power? How do they even do order enforcement? We see that For smaller group, usually the order is enforced on a consensus level. Let's say, we have a small commune, and then if there's a bad actor, we all agree to eject them out, and this guy's out, not part of our community anymore, and that is how it works. But this, unfortunately, doesn't work on a large scale. From an anarchism sort of point of view, we actually have seen that insurance, funny enough, it's been proposed as one of the ways to enforce order when there's no higher power. I don't have time to go into deep about how this works, but I encourage you to go and have a read, and it's very, very interesting. So based on that, I have a proposal of an experiment that I would like to see in the crypto space. I like to build a stablecoin that protects DeFi users. The way it works is fairly simple. So you use this stablecoin, you build up a history, and your history is, the longer history you have, the more what we call cover score you accumulate as you use this stablecoin. Imagine as USDC or USDT, you use them, you build up a history of score. If any of your DeFi position is hacked, you could actually use this history to claim your loss from the protocol. So you get coverage out of that. For example, if you use Aave, you put your USDC into Aave, you get your AUSDC out as your LP token. If tomorrow Aave got hacked, your AUSDC now worth nothing. You can give USD8, the protocol, your AUSDC, which was nothing, and get reimbursed up to 80% of that USDC's value. So you get 80 cents, up to 80 cents for every USDC you put in. So this is one of the things that we think could be quite interesting because it provides a level of protection, and also it's built on top of the history that usually your history does nothing. Your USDC, USDT history does nothing. It's not useful at all at this stage. And as you use, the more you use, and the more you get covered, and it builds up a loyalty for sort of the project following. And we like to build this in a permissionless way because we're crypto natives ourselves. And we want this project to stick to the trustless manifesto as much as we can. And then we have partnered up with a ZK coprocessor team to compute the history completely off-chain that's not related to our facility. So let's say tomorrow if our project disappears, the whole thing would still function and work really well. And that would make it satisfy the walkaway test that Vitalik proposed. If this is gonna work out, it's gonna be a really exciting and playful future. Imagine this. If USD8 is really big, it's covering a huge amount of DeFi, and then some DeFi protocol gets hacked for tens or hundreds of millions dollars, and everybody come to USD8 to get reimbursement with their LP token. Now USD8 sits on this pile of LP token that doesn't worth anything. However, if USDC or USD8 can recover those stolen funds, this pile of LP token all of a sudden has a huge amount of value that could worth up to hundreds of millions. And that incentive, in a game theory way, would push USD8 to go and chase those hackers on an ongoing basis for years to come. So USD8 could be putting up $1 million bounty that's valid up forever. It could work with individual white hat hackers, law enforcement, work with different countries' security agencies to chase those hackers ongoingly until we recover money from them, because there's a financial incentive for the organization to do. This would change how currently the hacking recovery work, because at the moment, if a protocol gets hacked and the money belongs to the user, the protocol themselves has very little incentives to keep chasing them if it gets too difficult, because even if they recover those money doesn't go to the protocol, it goes to all these users. And now we have an entity potentially has a huge amount of debt accumulated from the hackers, and then would keep chasing those hackers forever. This also would put off any more hacking activities, while the hackers know they will be forever chased by someone. So hopefully, through this experiment, we can keep my mom saving on-chain and safe, so my mom can yield on 8%, then her bank currently offering her maybe 1.5%. But this is a big dream that is not gonna happen without all your participation. So I encourage you to follow along and join our Telegram and follow our X, and then hopefully we can make it a good experiment. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Security often fades into background when it works and become fundamental when it fails. And so that brings our third speaker. Our third speaker is Daniel, a core contributor to Thu's protocol. Thu's protocol is a decentralized prediction market protocol rethinking coordination through cryptographic and on-chain mechanism. So today's talk is titled A Game Design for Good Resilience. This is about how incentive design and game mechanism can help create more robust and resilient decentralized system, not just economically, but socially. So, yeah.
Thank you. Let me get this up. Is it? No? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah? Should I wait? Yeah, it's okay. Like, this video is prepared by the Remotion. I just give some scripts, and even that script was created by some agent, so. Oh, yeah. So, that's maybe not exactly the same as I said, especially that the previous speech used a lot of terminologies I want to use, so, I need to refresh my mind to say something, which is kind of probably new. Yeah. I'm building a decentralized prediction market. At the very beginning, that's kind of 6 weeks ago. Actually, the purpose is not building a decentralized prediction market. At that time, I'm just thinking that, as a world ledger, blockchain doing a really good job. I have a financial background. I know how efficient this is. But what about other things, right? What about other things that being recorded in this ledger? I'm thinking about what about, is there anything which is really valuable? We can call it choose. It's like a historical book. For some reasons, people are willing to put it on chain. And someday, for example, we distinct it and somebody get this node, hard disk, or whatever, the storage facility, he will find out, yeah, this is interesting. Some people are showing their intent of something. Then we pick a name. Sus is the name. Yeah. Rainbow. What is this? Sorry. Oh, I should probably play it. Anyways, Sus is an ancient English name of a fact, and we started to think about what kind of a fact probably be valuable. I have a DeFi background, so the first thing is also the previous speaker said, is about the the security, right? Because once there is a hacking happen, that's definitely a truth. It's a purely 100% pure on-chain truth. Maybe it's not it's sympathetic, but it's a truth happen, and we look into it. Yeah, still there was some problem, this hack happening in this block, and then there is something called free option attack, if you're familiar with the prediction market. So how to solve that? So we think about, they actually can solve this very well. So we can set up something and a mechanism. Then we can introduce a retroactive settlement, which means that any trade after that, this is not a good idea to use phone. If the trade is happened after that block, those will be will be returned. yeah, so this is how like we get into the ZK, and gradually we found out right now ZK for developers like us actually give us a much flexible, I will mention something else later, much flexibility to thinking in of a system, but without sacrifice of the decentralization. You can put something off-chain. Maybe right now it's not that efficient to do it on-chain, but you can use like ZK to link it. So yeah, we are actually we are quite a new project, but we can show what we have right now. We're quite new. We haven't launched yet, but right now we are like cooperate with a project called Previous. Maybe you guys heard of that. To working on how to realize what we call the ZK adjudicator. If you are familiar with the predict market, you know that there is Oracle, right? People rely on Oracle, this kind of that. But we extended this role. It's an adjudicator. It provides the services not only to be a judge to show you this happened or not, but also give you proof what time it happened. Yeah. The story like continue to grow. People are, so at that time we say, okay, we are trying to build a on-chain choose layer. But people don't understand what's that. And then like, oh, okay, yeah. So people say, what you're doing is like decentralized predict market. Okay, it's fine. We accept that. We're building a decentralized predict market. At the end, what we want this to happen is still like people can create predict market, in a really, really permissionless way, 100% permissionless way, and really to create some market which somebody cares. Not like nowadays, right? There is all like, CPI, Fed, President, NBA. I like NBA, by the way, but like it's not for everyone, right? We have a lot of different like sports. People have concerns, but there is no way basically to record it. It's very hard to record it, but people have concern of that. So other people can also find out it, right? And I know that sometimes, for example, in this room, we have some like shared topics. We are kind of like, be interested of it. So I think there is, we can, yeah, through our platform, let's say, you can actually yeah, I'm running out of the topic actually, sorry. Okay, back to, we solved some problem, but there is one thing which is very important. So this is the topic today. When we designed the whole like incentive system, first of all, if you want to be permissionless, you have to let all the actors to join, not only like selected one, not to judge who is good and who is bad. Today there are a lot of arbitrageurs and PVP traders on different platforms. Yeah, sometimes the problem is they will eat up the real users' profit, right? That happens from time to time. But yeah, our design principles is we let everybody go, but we need to find out a way that everybody can stay for longer. Because he wants to stay for longer time, he will think a little bit different way. So the most important role here is what we call the creator. How important it is, the whole protocol revenue, 80% of it will go to the creator. There is a launchpad, there is a creator, so people might think, okay, this is not a pump fund. It's not. If you think deeply, it's not a pump fund because the long-tail main coin has no value. This is the first thing, but long-tail predicted market has a lot of value, right? We are talking about the decentralized, socialization or social application. We already have a lot of Web2 social application. We have Reddit people, CP people talking about sports there and some other forms, but they trade on poly market. But now, if you can create the market which can attract the same, people with the same kind of a concern, there will be also possibility of social. So the creator is very, very important, and they are the risk taker. This is the second point, that they are, the whole idea is different from pump fund. They need to provide the liquidity. If you guys researched or looked at the LMSR, you know, algorithm, AMM algorithm, or I dropped this. Actually, it's very beautiful. There is like a max loss, so the creator will like provide the liquidity to cover that loss, and if he you know, operate this market successfully, he will be rewarded of the future trading fees, including the trading fee from the on-chain order book. On-chain order book is another topic, right? Like people want to use user experience similar to Poly market, but in the meantime, they want to protect the real users' value. How we do is like, you know, we have two trading value. One is the one for those people who really care about this topic. They can trade there. They have their like a concern, interest, whatever. They want to express their opinions, but there is some kind of like a limitation. For example, we have kind of like a fund lockup. So those arbitrary traders, they will not come here. But in the meantime, we welcome them to trade on the on-chain order book, which means that they can also contribute to the creator. So lot of things there. For example, there should be like a guardian role, right? Once there is something which probably not good, the guardian role needs to come out. Should it be a centralized role or not, and is it optional or not? I think the things we found out is, you know, again, it's not like the main coin market. It's like the reputation is very important. So the creator most likely will think about like, okay, I just like, you know, take maximum outcome from like one market, or I can like be a professional creator in this area for a long time. So I can organize a lot of different political market in this area. So this is what we bet on. If there is a gaming mechanism which can, you know, from the time point of view, people can stay there for a longer time. So they will think about for the long term. So it's not to bet on like, you know, the bad actor or the you know, the good actor. It sounds like a very, you know, in theory level, but let me show something here. Yeah. So the reason I can stand here to introduce is not because of we came out to have this idea. We have to build a lot of things because today people's requirement is very high, right? People want similar user experience compared to like a Poly market. People don't want to sacrifice like too much. So what we can provide is, okay, this is simple. You can really create a predictive market in 30 seconds, even less. This is on the base Sepolia testnet. So, you know, like the market is already created, and we think from the view of those frequent traders, arbitrager, because they will contribute actually the protocol fee to the creator to encourage them, right? So we also want them in. We don't say, okay, you guys don't provide value. You can provide value, right? So we provide the SDK. We have done a lot of you know, transactions, more than 200,000 actually, to finalize the tickbook design. But if you ask me, I will not say that on the high frequency trading side, it's the same level of off-chain, but it's okay. Again, thanks for the ZK. We probably at one day, like, you know, we can think about if it's necessary or user need that, we can do those, you know, only the order book calculation off-chain and proof on-chain. Our system will be much more simple than you know, Poly market. Yeah, that's my time is over. Right? Yeah, that's about the protocol. It's called SUS. I'm living in Chiang Mai, so yeah, I think it's very proud to introduce this project to the Chiang Mai community. We can communicate later. Sorry for the video is not, you know, should not use a phone to play it. Thanks. Thanks.
Thanks, Daniel. Thank you to all the three speakers. Well, we just heard a really different the way of building, like local ecosystem, security assumptions, and resilience through design and gaming. And now we're gonna have a 15 minutes break, and after that we're gonna move to pre-cypherpunk and thinker assembly, where we have a little slight adjustment. Like we have a panel with Kurt Pan, Vitalik, and Jiang. And yeah, we'll start in 15 minutes and you guys can grab something to eat, grab something to drink. And we have a small portion of dinner and starts around 6 o'clock. And yeah, that's it, just like rest a little bit. So this is the registration for the ETH ChiangMai Summit. And if you guys would like to join on the 3rd of February, just scan the code and join on Luma. And it's full day of the 3rd of February. And on the middle is our X account, and on the very right side is our Telegram group.
Zalu do, pop up the city, rich community, build new technology, rooted in values we hold true. What does Uzalu mean to you? I see beauty, simplicity, and humility, self-organized, sustainably, flight for longevity, conversations on delight, how we impact society under the Zuzalu sign. Gather you and I, sharing dreams side by side. Unity we abide. Zuzalu. Conversations that inspire, kindling our collective fire. Ideas bloom, connections new. Zuzalu spirit, pure and true. Under the Zuzalu sky, gather you and I, sharing dreams side by side. In unity we abide. Zuzalu, Zuzalu. Here's to you, Zuzalu, our place where hearts and minds interlace. As we pilots night say goodbye till next time under four sea sky. Here's to you, Zuzalu, a place where hearts and minds interlace. As we pilots night say goodbye till next time under Zuzalu sky. Zuzalu. For those of you who haven't seen the Zuzalu library next door, it's open. You should go check it out.
喂喂 ，Hello。哦。Hello Hello。哦。哦。对。
我们就是一些问题，然后交流，然后观众可以提问题。
对。交流。
Alrighty, welcome back, and we're gonna start our second session. This session is pre-cypherpunk thinkers assembly. Rather than previous focusing on projects and ideas, this part is more about history, long-term thinking, and ideas about cypherpunk. And we're honored here to have Vitalik join us in person, and Kurt Pan and Jiang. And they will lead with the panel discussion. And this session will last about 1 hour and a half, and we'll have 1 hour and 20 minutes, and we'll have 20 minutes for audience open questions. But if you're gonna ask question, please raise your hand, and please keep it short and tight, and so we can have more questions. So I'll pass the mic to Jiang. Okay, we're gonna start.
Hello. So I'm going to ask a few questions first, and today it's about cypherpunk and thinker assembly. So for the audience here, I think many of them don't have a very clear idea of cypherpunk, and some of them might have some knowledge about it. And so can you explain what is cypherpunk, and also what's your first time experience on cypherpunk?
Yeah. So the cypherpunk as an idea actually started long before Ethereum, long before Bitcoin, really in the 1980s and in the 1990s. And originally, they were working on technologies like very early forms of digital cash. So David Chaum's eCash, for example, which tried to protect people's privacy, so that even the bank could not see your transactions. There was a lot like PGP, basically, encrypted the very first form of encryption, and encryption is of course completely normal now, right? But back then it was a very new idea. Basically, people working on these collection of tools that tried to use computers and cryptography in particular to create a. Okay. Is this better? Yeah, to create an internet that's better at protecting people's privacy, better at protecting people's freedom, better at being open to global participation, at resisting attempts to censor it. And these were things that a lot of people were starting to think about in the 1990s. And then I think since then, a lot of those ideas have made their way into various parts of more mainstream software, right? So for example, it's very normal now that the internet is encrypted, right? HTTPS is there by default. Also, encrypted messaging is, I think, finally winning this decade. More and more people are using, Signal, and is the most popular one. Other messaging apps that are actually encrypted, and so the company that runs it can't just read all of the private messages that you're sending to everyone. And then also, of course, in the 2000s, we saw Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin was this end of this 30-year journey of trying to create some form of properly internet native money, right? And really B-Money, David Chaum's project in 1982 was the very first one, and then, that was eCash, right? And then there was B-Money by Wei Dai in the late 1990s. Then there was reusable proofs of work, the BitGold, these ideas from Nick Szabo and from Hal Finney, and then finally, Satoshi had put all of these different pieces together, the blockchain, the decentralized consensus, using proof of work, the chain of transactions, and with Bitcoin, the whole cryptocurrency space started, right? And then 4 years later, of course, Ethereum came, and then the blockchain space started growing very quickly. I think one interesting thing that happens, though, is that there was this interesting kind of flip of the priorities that people had, right? Because if you look at eCash in 1982, and if you look at all of the digital cash systems people were trying to make in the 1990s, they were private, but they were not decentralized, right? Bitcoin and Ethereum also, it's decentralized, but it's not private, right? And the reason why that flipped.
So why the Bitcoin is not private?
Yes, because it had to be decentralized, right? Basically, yeah, for something like this to survive, it needs to be decentralized and not depend on one issuer, right? But we did not have the technology to make something decentralized and private at the same time. All of the cryptography we knew for making something private, it depended on a central issuer, and the technology that allows both at the same time, called ZK snarks, and it existed in these very theoretical academic forms since the 1990s, but it was always extremely difficult in practice. If you took the algorithms from 1995 and you tried to actually make one of them, it would take 5 hours on a big machine. And it did not really become viable until basically the mid-2010s, and Zcash launched in 2016, right? And so a big reason why I think we're talking about some of these older ideas again is that now privacy is actually possible again, right? And a lot of these newer Ethereum applications are actually trying to bring some of those older ideas back in.
Kurt, can you also share your experience about your first experience about cypherpunk?
I think as Beta said, what I met the cypherpunk movement is by the ZK snark. That technique, it's basically it's originally from the academic area, like the PCP things, kind of like that. But I think quickly it can be integrated into the practical ecosystem like Israel, and it can make it more scalable. We can have more privacy in it. So I'm very promising in this technique. So I just to dig it all more about the spirit original of it, and I think it's just the cypherpunk spirit, and during the 1990s, I think. And I think that spirit can still benefit us in this area. So,
my first cypherpunk. Wait, hello. Hi, wait. My first cypherpunk experience was using BitTorrent to download movies from the internet. That feels guilty, but also very exciting. Yeah.
cool.
And so cypherpunk is a combination of cypher and punk. So cypher is the technology, and punk is the culture part. And Berlin has the community of most vital community of cypherpunk, I think.
Yeah, I think the cipher is original from Latin or the Greek.
Greek.
Yeah, it's Greek. It's just a.
No, actually Arabic, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. But it's just a kind of symmetric encryption scheme. You can call it a cipher. And the punk, the idea is you just need the anti-establishment movement.
It's that rebellion.
Yeah, rebellion of something. and be cool and be very proud of privacy. And so the cypherpunk is a combination of both of the technique and the cultural area,
Yeah.
right?
So Vitalik, in your article about make Ethereum cypherpunk again, so you shared about the stories of the Berlin's cypherpunk community and also the restaurants that accept Bitcoin. Can you share about your experience there and the culture of the of these cypherpunk people?
Yeah. Have you ever paid with like Bitcoin or ETH at a restaurant, by the way?
No.
Yeah.
You have?
never.
Yeah,
Where?
in Prague,
Oh, in Prague. Okay.
in
Hmm.
during the DevCon.
Okay.
Can it be done in Chiang Mai?
Mm.
No, I don't think so.
Mm. Yeah, I think this is something that actually people really tried to push back in 2013, right? When, like basically in Berlin, the thing that was really special was there was this district in Berlin, in Kreuzberg, where the owner of one of the restaurants, Jörg Platzer, he was a Bitcoin fan, and so he convinced like half the restaurants within 200 meters of him, like I think about like 10 of them, and then like plus some more, and then plus like some other types of stores, to start accepting Bitcoin for payments. And so I visited for a week, and like for a week, basically about half my meals, they were paid with Bitcoin. And like in some ways it was almost kind of like a very early precursor to like pop-up cities, right? It's,
Yeah.
but I think what ended up happening there, right, is that back then, the like other sort of non-Bitcoin digital payment systems, they were still like very bad quality. They were had very high fees. They were inconvenient, and the Bitcoin fees were also very low. And then since then, like that whole scene, I think, basically got killed because like on the one hand, the digital systems did get somewhat better, and on like the centralized digital systems. And on the other hand, because of the Bitcoin block size issues, the transaction fees got too high. And later, the transaction fees got too high on Ethereum also, right? And so when that happened, then Bitcoin and Ethereum, basically, yeah, like Bitcoin stopped being that effective for like small scale peer-to-peer payments. And this is actually like one of those problems that I think right now is like finally solved. Like for right now, Ethereum, for example, is extremely cheap, right? Like you can send like simple transactions for under 1 cent often, and I mean even complex ones for under 5 cents often. And so we're like back to the kinds of prices we had in like 2013, right? And this is basically, I think, I mean, a big part is that we have like the amount of transaction space on the chain has increased by more than I think a factor of 10 since the beginning, right? And actually this year it's plans to increase by another factor of 5. So that's and like we're planning to continue increasing Ethereum's scale even more, right? And so I think all of these technologies that we have in the 2020s that in Ethereum that we did not have before, like they're a good reason to try to like take all of these earlier ideas and really try to bring them back.
And in Berlin, there is also the C-based Hacker House and Chaos Computer Club. And do you find any other interesting things in the cypherpunk community there? And why do they gather and join this movement and keep the culture?
Berlin actually has many interesting things, right? Like the kinds of companies in crypto or even in just general tech that are based there, I think are just all super interesting. They tend to be like very, like values and mission driven. A lot of them really care about privacy. The city is also like very strong artistically. I read some history articles that basically claimed that one of the reasons why is basically because the city was like split in half, and there was the whole situation after the the Second World War with the wall, and so all the big companies they moved out because it was too inconvenient. And Berlin itself, basically, no big companies, and then eventually, when things got better, it was like fairly cheap. A lot of artistic people also moved in, and it's like one of these situations where like the national capital is also like not the really the commercial capital, and it's like even the non-technical scene, right? If you just like walk along the street, like you see political graffiti and like people, like talking about the need to stop climate change. You see, like people protesting all kinds of government actions. Like people, like talking about like the freedom to like have your own lifestyle and like all of these things. And I think in technology, the principles, like the ideals are very similar. And so, I think you see a lot of that in like the kinds of Ethereum and crypto projects that are there, in the also even like the kinds of events that run there, like they like they're the like if there's a European conference that's talking about cypherpunk, probably it's either in Berlin or in Prague. So there's a lot of interesting things there.
So it's a city of all kinds of punks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think the Chiang be the next Asian version of the Berlin to be a cyberpunk city?
That's
is that promising?
I mean, it looks promising so far. So, Four Seas is doing a good job.
Yeah. Cyberpunk and solarpunk city.
Yes. How do you see the difference between these like different types of punks, right? Because there's cypherpunk, there's solarpunk, there's lunar punk.
Yeah, there's many others, like many punks. A thousand society of punks.
Yeah, I think these are all the movement against power and the movement that we cause more freedom. Yeah, we claim our identity and sovereignty. Yeah.
When did you like encounter the either the cypherpunk like movement or ideas for the first time?
It was 2012. I joined the P2P community. There was a group of people in Node.js, and they are doing a lot of WebRTC and DHT stuff. And they have a lot of teach me a lot about the distributed system. Then I go to Berlin for a P2P conference.
What did you find interesting about it?
And the first time I find they are crazy people, but they have awesome crazy ideas. And I find that we are a small group of people in the world that know some truths that no other people hold. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I met the cyberpunk idea is, as I said, it's in the academic area. Like I'm a researcher in cryptography, so the cryptography is a very historic, some ideas in the Ivory Tower, something like that, and but I don't think it has much impact on the society structure. So I just dig it in and to found this movement in the 1990s, and I think it's a very, the first impression is that's cool, man. And also I would like to learn what's the
how the cypherpunk culture affected you when you were creating or designing Ethereum?
Yeah, so in Bitcoin's early days, I think one of the really interesting things about it is that it was this like very strong intellectual scene. There were a lot of people from these like cryptography, computer science oriented cypherpunk movements there. There were also people who were looking at it from the perspective of economics and like freedom of money and inflation and like let's make a neutral currency that like can't be arbitrarily inflated by any amount. And I mean, there were a lot of other ideas too. There were, I mean, I remember there was this thing called like Project Venus, which was doing a resource-based economy, and like that's probably even like closer to communism than capitalism. And so, you know, you had like all kinds of different people mixing, right? And this, like, I think this early Bitcoin community, maybe before about 2013, was like a mix of all of these things, and then. In Ethereum, I like really started from realizing that people wanted to do more things on the blockchain, but you can't just keep making a new blockchain every time there is a new application. And so instead you put in a programming language, and so anyone can, like once the blockchain exists, anyone can do like any application that they want on top of it, right? And
like the ether in the universe.
yes, exactly. And and then Ethereum started, and actually I think like around that time was the time that like the crypto community started really splitting into different pieces, right? So there was like even Bitcoin, it at the same time stopped being one tribe, right? It split into like small blocks who basically said that the number of transactions needs to like stay small so anyone can download and verify the blocks, but in exchange it means that like because there's few spaces for transactions, the transaction fees go very high. There's big blockers who prefer, like who believe anyone should be able to send a transaction, but that means the blocks get too big, and so not everyone can download and verify the chain. And then those two ended up like splitting. Then there was Ethereum, and then there were other blockchains like BitShares, and so the movements like really branched out quite a lot. And then, of course, Zcash in 2016 was like the one that was really good at like carrying the privacy torch the whole time. So, but then, like, Bitcoin was not the first, like a decentralized technology I had used. Like, I definitely, had used BitTorrent before. I was like interested, like I had used like Tor and like some of these internet privacy tools.
In the 2000 era?
Like maybe about like 2005, 2008.
Okay.
I think in 2000 I was like still a tiny kid. I had no idea about any of this. And then, like Bitcoin was this like really powerful thing because it just like took all of those interests and it combines them together. But then I think the problem is that it succeeded at doing that as a community, but it did not really succeed as a technology because Bitcoin, like as a technology, is just like it's so limited because it only lets you move money and with the small blocks, like it only lets people do a few transactions, right? And but then like now. I think we're seeing this kind of growth of all of these different technologies at the same time.
Yeah, I noticed that you post many posts about the scalability problem be solved the progress over the last few years in the Ethereum scalability, and I think it's originally called the trilemma of the problem. So you cannot you cannot have the scalability, the performance thing, and the security and the decentralization at the same time. But you said it's at some extent it be totally solved by the the progress of the ZKUM and the peer dash thing. So can you explain more about this kind of thing?
Actually,
Yeah. Yeah, so the way I look at it is I think you can compare like Ethereum as like where it almost is today and where it's going to like two different things, right? You can compare it to Bitcoin and you compare it to BitTorrent. And with BitTorrent, right, it's decentralized, it's extremely scalable, huge numbers of terabytes pass through it every day, right? But BitTorrent does not have consensus, right? It does not solve the double spending problem. It has no guarantees on like what order messages were sent and received, and so you cannot use like something like BitTorrent and like build money on top of it, right? Or you cannot use it and like build NFTs or a financial market or even a game, like anything complex, right? Now Bitcoin, on the other hand, it has consensus, but it achieves the consensus by requiring every node to process every single transaction. And so BitTorrent does not do this, right? In BitTorrent, like every computer only sees a very tiny fraction of all of the activity, right? But in Bitcoin, everyone sees everything, but you have consensus, right? And so basically, you think of it as like Bitcoin is over here, right? And you have like high consensus but low scalability. BitTorrent is over here. You already have high scalability, but you have low consensus. How do you go here, right? How do you have consensus and high scalability? And ZK Synarchs, this technology that lets you create cryptographic proofs that a large amount of computation happened, where you can verify the proof without seeing the computation yourself. Like that really completely solves this for computation, because if you have a big computation, you can split it into many pieces, and then like BitTorrent, you can like solve each piece separately, and then you can combine the pieces at the end, and like everything is verified. And then for data, to achieve consensus on large amounts of data, there was this technology called PeerDAS, which allows everyone to randomly download only a few chunks of the data, and then and so with those two things together, right, basically Ethereum can have like very high capacity without the same kinds of limitation, or very high capacity with like still having strong consensus at the same time, right? So that's so basically, the trilemma, it was never like a mathematical theorem, right? There was no formal proof, and so now like it's like basically being solved, right? And so like these two technologies, PeerDAS is already running on Ethereum today, and the ZK Synarchs for Ethereum blocks, there is a like beta version of them that is usable, and we still need maybe 2 or 3 more years of work to make sure that it's really secure, and then we can start scaling much more based on that. So like basically in both of those areas, a lot of improvement.
And in the cypherpunk part of Ethereum, you choose ZK, the zero knowledge tech stack, and also you as the core component of Ethereum. So can you tell us about how do you think about ZK and why do you think it's so important?
So zero knowledge proofs, they let you prove that you know the result of some computation without needing to see the input to the computation, and also verifying the proof is much faster than running the computation, right? And so it has a privacy use case and it has a scalability use case, right? So like for example, right, if you have a passport, like any modern passport, it has like the chip on it, right? And so today there exist tools that let you take your passport, make a zero knowledge proof that proves that you're a citizen of the country you're from, and you could give me that proof and I could verify it, but the proof does not reveal anything else. It does not reveal your name, it does not reveal your age, like your face. All it tells me is what country you're from. Or even you could say, well, I want to prove that I have a passport from some country that's not North Korea, right? And that's the only thing you want to prove. You can also do that. So this is like the privacy use case, right? The scalability use case is like, okay, so for example, right? Recently, Elon announced that he is, making the Twitter algorithm open source, right? And, in theory, this is really nice, right? Because if the algorithm is open, then anyone can go like run it and anyone can go verify, basically, what are the actual computations happening? Is this biased? Is this treating different people and their opinions fairly? But in reality, right, it's there's always the question of like, well, how open is it? And it's not really, ultimately, even if he publishes all the code, there's no evidence that that's actually the code that's being run. Right? And so if you want to do something like this and have it be really robust, then what you can do is you can publish a hash of your algorithm and then publish zero knowledge proofs that prove that all of the outputs of Twitter, basically, every single response that's being made by the server, all of the, what timeline you see in what order, is the result of running that algorithm on all of the messages that people send. And then, it can also put up a hash of all of the messages, basically, who posted what, who voted, or what votes there were at what time. And then maybe 1 year later, you'd be able to release the algorithm, also release some anonymized version of what all of the messages are. And then you'd be able to see what the algorithm is, and all that time you have proofs that prove that the algorithm that later gets released is exactly the algorithm that was used to determine what each person sees. And so this is this could be really powerful for making the internet kind of more transparent, in a good way, to making it more trustable and all of these things, right? And zero knowledge, this is a zero knowledge proofs for scalability use case also, right? Because all of Twitter is a huge amount of computation, right? You're not going to be able to run this algorithm on your laptop. But if they make a zero knowledge proof, you will be able to verify that proof, even on a phone, even on a smartwatch. The proofs are that tiny. So this is a powerful technology, right? And it has a huge amount of use cases, both on the blockchain, because on the blockchain, by default, everything is public, right? And so this is the big trade-off you have, right? It's you gain consensus, but you lose scalability, you lose privacy. And zero-knowledge proofs, they let you put hashes of information on chain instead of putting the actual information. And so they give you back scalability, they give you back privacy. And then also off-chain, they just have such a huge number of different use cases. So I'm continue to be very excited about Ziggy snarks. I think their use will increase a lot over the next 5 years.
Sorry, this one. I think there's a very interesting aspect about the Ziggy snark, which is Ziggy snark is something you have to generate the proof very hardly. You need to many effort to put into it to generate proof, but once the proof has been published, generated and published, and the whole world can verify it very, very cheaply. So there's some asymmetric in here. At the same time, the AI, the LLM, the large language model, is something like you generate the response very cheaply, but there are some humiliation here. So maybe you cannot verify that the fact many quickly. So there's some interesting symmetry in these two kind of technology.
Yeah, I agree. I think ZK provide us give us the superpower of proving things and keeping the secrets. Yeah.
Yeah, we call it the witness, which is the secret we don't want to export to the world. So I think in the original cypherpunk manifesto or the crypto anarchical manifesto, there was the word zero knowledge in that manifesto in the 1980s. So, but at that time, this technology is not very mature. It's just a baby. So today maybe we can reimagine the cypherpunk, the original cypherpunk vision in the line of the newly developed snark technology in this area.
And for the future, for your vision on Ethereum, how will Ethereum keep itself cypherpunk, and how should we keep the culture and the community safe? Yeah, instead of being hijacked by other power men like Elon Musk.
Yeah. So for Ethereum, the blockchain to be cypherpunk, I think it needs to be decentralized, and it needs to be usable in a way that is like cypherpunk friendly, right? So what that means is it needs to be possible for you to just go use Ethereum, do Ethereum things without having to like go create an account at some third-party service and like basically go through centralized intermediaries, right? It needs to be possible for you to use the chain directly, to use the chain with privacy, to use the chain in a way where you're actually verifying that you're getting the correct chain. And these are all things that we're really taking into account in Ethereum's scaling roadmap, the roadmap for the accounts model, the like quantum resistant security, the consensus, all of these different things, right? Then the second question is, well, if it's possible to do these things on Ethereum, right, then like you need to have people who are actually doing them, right? Because by default, it's a lot of developers' instincts to just say, okay, I'm going to write an application in the Web 2 way. That application is going to like make 100 calls to different Web 2, like APIs, and then like 50 different servers are going to find out like who each user is immediately, right? And also, like the application, like it might require some like going through like centralized servers to log in. The application like might require trusting the server for everything to be secure. And so even though the blockchain doesn't need you to trust, the application still does, right? And so like we need to continue to make it easier and to like build up this community of people working on these best practices so that like actually decentralized applications are feasible for people to make, and we know how to make them at a very high standard of quality. Right, and like one of the ways that I measure this is what I call the walk-away test, which is basically, if you have an application, then imagine if the developers suddenly all got hit by a bus, their servers suddenly disappeared. Then what guarantees would a user still have? Would a user be able to keep using the application? Ideally, yes. If like every single tool that you would buy 100 years ago passes the full walk-away test, right? And I think over the last 30 or 40 years, we lost a lot of that, right? And we have a lot of these applications where like the manufacturer can turn them off remotely, or if the manufacturer goes bankrupt, then like something in the machine actually depends on calling the manufacturer every 7 days, and then oops, like it stops working, right? And so we're trying to like really get back to, you know, the best parts of the like that earlier
And
era.
we have the cloud tech giants to
Yes.
just collect all your data.
Indeed, and you know, 100 years ago, your car did not collect any of your data. 200 years ago, your horse, I mean, your horse collected your data, but like, what would the horse do with it? Okay, yeah. But basically, yeah, and then the other, and so like the ideal is if the developers all disappear, if the servers all disappear, you can keep using it. If you can't do that, the second best is there need to be at least easy channels for people to go manually get their money out, right? Like what we call escape hatches, to manually send, like even if your users have like coins inside of an application inside your application, they need ways to be able to like get those coins out of that application and they get those coins out of your system, right? And these are things that like a lot of the platforms built on top of Ethereum have already thought through and already can do, right? But like these are things that we have to continue building on.
But the world is changing radically now. Everything is software as a service, software as a service. So nowadays the software is not programming on your computer, but it's a service that they can stop. And also people read books on Amazon Kindle, so the books could disappear. And we listen to music on Spotify, so the music could disappear. Yeah, and we need to reclaim the.
I have songs as MP3 files. Yeah, that's files, they exist. MP3s, TXTs. Files are good. The other nice thing about having TXTs is that you can push them through local AI and convert them into MP3s so you can listen to them. And so there's a lot of advantages to having everything locally in these like data formats that you control.
So can we just to pass the walkaway test by using the local first applications alone, or we need anything else?
For use cases that are personal, then yes. For use cases that involve collaboration, like that, this is where I think it gets more tricky, right? So, like for example, right, one of if you think of like messaging apps, right, is like one simple example, right? Like something like Signal. Signal, I think it kind of passes the walkaway test because if Signal suddenly disappears, then I have the app on my machine, you have the app on your machine, and at least our data is still there, and like you can export the data, and you can do like SQL stuff, like to extract the messages, extract the pictures, like I've done this, right? And like your data is still yours. But the problem is, without the Signal servers, we can't talk to each other, right? And it's even worse because, because we're not in contact, we would not have a way even to contact each other once just to switch to a different messenger, right? And so this is one of those reasons why, I think there's several reasons why we want to go beyond like Signal style end-to-end encryption, and we want to actually have more decentralized messengers. One reason is this, right? Basically, that you want to have something where even if all existing servers shut down, someone else can spin up a new server, and you can ideally automatically connect to it, and we can continue talking to each other, right? But the other big reason is metadata privacy. right? So basically, yeah, when if I send a message to you by Signal, then the Signal servers, they still see when I sent the message, who sent the message to whom. If we send 5 messages, they can see there's a delay of 2 seconds here, there's a delay of 5 seconds here, there's a delay of 1 second here. Like, these are all signals that can be put into very powerful AI models, and it can be used to analyze, you know, who we are, what are we talking about, what kind of conversation are we having, right? Like you can learn a lot of scary things from small amounts of information. And so but then if you have a decentralized network, then like for example, the message would pass through 5 different servers run by different people before it gets to the destination. And then as long as at least one of the servers is deleting all the information and it's not like secretly saving it, as long as at least one of the 5 servers is, then well, like my privacy is fully safe. So like this is one way in which you can use you know, like decentralization to get even stronger guarantees. And we're passing the walk-away test like, to a much better degree at the same time.
Sounds cool. Sounds interesting. Can you tell us more about the DACC things, idea of it? What's the difference between the DCC and EACC?
I guess I'm curious for you, like how do you understand EACC versus DACC?
Actually, to be honest, I don't understand the in effect, what the means the effectiveness in the EACC. I think the guy just talk about it. He just need to accelerate. So yeah, I think that's a very kind of nearsighted about something. Yeah. You just need an exponential graph curve, nothing else. That's what I understand about the EACC. So I can get the point we need something else to have a more whole picture of it, something.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I can fill in some history because I think the problem with these memes is that like they're often people making fun of things that are themselves making fun of other things, and there's like all of these layers, right? So we start with effective altruism, right? Effective altruism is this philosophy that says, like, we should try to be good to other people, we should like try to be charitable, but we should try to do it in a way that's actually effective, right? And so there's a lot of people who, like, let's say a rich person who has like $15 million, they decide, I want to be nice, and then they go and like donate $15 million to, you know, like some opera house right in the middle of like some very rich city, and then, which is like beautiful and some people enjoy it, but the problem is that exact same money could have literally saved 3,000 lives in a low-income country, right? And people don't really think about this. You know, I don't realize that this is the choice that they're making, and like there isn't like there, especially like 10 or 20 years ago, there wasn't really much at all of people like really trying to be careful of figuring out like which charities actually are extremely effective at helping people and which ones sound good but they're not effective, right? And effective altruism like started with like doing all of this research, and then eventually it discovered that basically, yeah, if your goal is to save people's lives, then like anti-malaria is one of the important causes, like global public health, especially in low-income countries, and then like what particular areas. Actually, even like just directly giving people money in very low-income countries was also one of the relatively effective things, interestingly enough. And so it started with that, right? But then over time, like a big part of the community became convinced that the most important problem in the world is making sure that AI goes well, because if AI does not go well, then like a superhuman AI could basically, I mean, it could kill everyone in the same way that we killed like 75% of all species on Earth already, right? And so, like, they basically went down this rabbit hole of saying, well, okay, the most important problem is making sure AI goes well, and especially as it becomes like close to superhuman in its intelligence. And we are so far away from even knowing what we're doing when we build AIs. And so, really, to make AI go well, we also have to slow AI down, right? And then this like really offended a lot of people in Silicon Valley because like they want to make AI go fast. You know, they like capitalism. Like you're supposed to accelerate, scale quickly, make things go exponential, create human progress, and like it made a lot of people very unhappy. And so there was this like movement called effective accelerationism, basically replace altruism with accelerationism, and like basically it was basically just like vibes, basically saying like we should we actually should not like overthink this AI problem so much when we know so little. We should just accelerate because acceleration actually is the thing that's done the most good in the past.
Yeah,
and
give the executes to the
Yes.
guy to make more money.
Yes, and yes, it gives excuses for Silicon Valley, like venture capital people, to not feel guilty about making more money. And so, it got a lot of support. And then DAC is the one that the thing that I proposed, which basically says, well, let's focus accelerating technologies that are like defensive. So in the sense of like technologies that inherently make the world safer instead of making it more dangerous, right? So if we're worried that AI is going to create bioweapons, let's like accelerate defenses against bioweapons, which like a lot of that already happened because of COVID, and actually there was this like big tragedy where people temporarily got really excited about some very innovative and very effective ways of making us much more resistant to airborne disease. Like a lot of it is like basically doing the same thing to air and indoor air that we did to water in the 19th century, and going from like, we went from dirty water that gives everyone terrible diseases to having clean water, and like we should do the same thing to air. And there were other ideas around like much more efficient testing, around much more efficient for ways to detect pandemics much earlier, right? And so one part of it is like defensive, and then the other part is let's make technologies that are kind of decentralized and democratizing, right? So technology is where you're not making the world safe by saying, give all of the power to me because I'm trusted and I can make you safe. Instead, they like make people safe by empowering them, right? And like this is something you can do in biotech, and a lot of the ideas I mentioned this is something you can do in computing, right? Like you can improve computer security. Cryptography does this. You can do this in hardware. You can do this in social media, like basically give people better tools by which like they can make more sense of everything that people are posting, and like show them context, give them better ability to tell what's true and what's false, and what's trying to manipulate them. And so we should take all of these things and accelerate them and do this in an open way so that the whole world can benefit from them, right? So
So I think in the defensive aspect, maybe you can tell us more about what makes a technique to be offensive or defensive, or the AI is like the biotech.
Well, AI is interesting because it's both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can use AI to create deepfakes. You can use AI to create scams and like distribute them at a very mass scale. On the other hand, you can also use AI to create filters. You can use AI to, like locally, like filter the messages that you see to help you identify, like what things are trying to trick you, what things are real. You can also just use AI for productivity. Then, in the bio world, for example, like there's actually generally a pretty clean split between like the kind of biotech that makes it easier to fight pandemics and the kind of biotech that makes it easier to create pandemics. And actually, unfortunately, like people are continuing to do all of this crazy gain of function research even today, right? And like a lot of us like really hate this, but it's still happening. In computing, for example, right, there's like the scale of hacking computers, and then there's the scale of making inherently more secure operating systems. So it's like a very industry by industry kind of judgment.
So can I say the cryptography technique is basically defensive?
I think yes.
And can you suggest some of the applications that people can use every day, which is cypherpunk or DETH favored?
Okay, so let's go kind of industry by industry, right? So if we start in biotech, I think it's important to talk about biotech too, because like biotech is it's very important, health is very important, and at the same time, it's going to have more and more intersection with computing as both become more powerful. So one is air filtering, like every room that people are in should have an air filter, so that's one. And if you have good air filtering, then that massively reduces the chance that people give each other airborne diseases. And it's also just good for health in a lot of other ways. Then two is also testing, right? So there's increasingly better tools that you can use at home to test, like if you're feeling sick, what kind of diseases you might have. Like there's literally things that are being developed that are as high quality as PCRs that you can literally breathe into, and it's at home, and a minute later you can find out whether you have COVID or something else. So another one is just measurements, right? So you can have an air quality meter, and these are like small devices. You can even walk around with them. That just tells you like what is the quality of air in any particular place. Like basically you can even, you can go around and like basically be your own health and safety regulator, right? And if you go to some place and you see that the numbers are bad, like this is something you should complain about, right? You can complain online, complain to your friends, complain to the manager, and like just we need to have this like movement of more people just making a noise about this. So that's like in biotech. In computing, I think one big thing is like using some of these kind of encrypted and like more walk-away friendly test type of tools, right? So Signal for messaging, actually Telegram, like they try to claim they're encrypted, they're not actually encrypted, right? Like it's they're not, and Signal is encrypted. Then Fileverse, it's an alternative to Google Docs, which is end-to-end encrypted, and it's also like even already like at least partially decentralized, and so you can recover your documents even if the server disappears. You can use it offline. It's very powerful. Then there's like a lot of these individual things, like there's this alternative to Google Maps that's called Organic Maps, which uses OpenStreetMap, and so you download the maps, it just does everything on your device, like Google doesn't always learn where you're going. Graphene OS is a version of Android that has like higher levels of security, so it like does sandboxing for every application, so it basically does like really reduces the permissions that every application has to see all of your other applications. and it lets you like give permissions to applications one file at a time. So that's now it's only compatible with Google Pixel phones, but the solution to that is to like have a Google Pixel phone. It even works with older ones, so that's also something I like. It, also something
So
that I recommend.
Didn't it affected by the new Google policy about the Android development?
Right now, it's still fine. Yeah. So like I continue to use Graphene. It does not have any problems. I mean, for social media, so like right now, I mean, I think we currently don't have like a great social media, but I think if we want to improve our social media, my view is that the first step is more competition. And so I use this tool called Firefly, which is this multi-client. It's a client of Twitter, Farcaster, Lens, Blue Sky at the same time. And so you can basically see like all of the major socials and post to all of the major socials at the same time. And so you can like explore the smaller ones at the same time as being part of the bigger ones. And then also if you're accessing through Firefly, then like you're not, you know, like your view of Twitter is not mediated by Elon's algorithms. And so you're kind of protected there. Then for blockchains, I mean, I think in Ethereum, I think the Ambire wallet is already high quality. It's like already very limited in terms of like the number of calls to third-party servers that it can make. Someone actually tested, and they said basically tested, does this wallet keep working if you like add a firewall and you shut off all access except for an Ethereum node that you run locally? And I think when this was run, Ambire was the only wallet that passed. Within the foundation, we're working on this fork of Ambire called Kohaku, which also adds different kinds of privacy support and like stronger forms of verification. So that's also happening. So recommends that. Also, Gnosis Safe. Basically, if you have a larger amount of crypto funds, you should hold it in a multi-sig wallet, so you have multiple keys. So there's no single key, where if that key gets stolen, you lose your money, or if you lose your key, you lose your money. And like some of those keys should, I think, even be held by other people, right? So like you should ideally, I think you should be in a situation where for large amounts of crypto, like you do not even have the ability on hand to move that crypto out immediately, right? So that's also something I recommend. I think, yeah.
So what do you think the open source movement, the role, what's the role in of the open source in your recommendation?
So open source is an essential part of being DAC, because if something is not open source, you cannot verify how it works. And so that is like an extra point of trust, right?
It's also essential for walkaway text.
Yes, because if the developers disappear, then like someone else needs to be able to come in and fix any bugs and continue improving it. So, what are your favorite either open source or DAC or cypherpunk tools? Anything that I have not mentioned yet?
Yeah, I would recommend using a local AI model.
Yeah,
That will help a
I'm the
lot.
same.
Yeah. And let's take some questions from our audience, and please ask something about cypherpunk related. Yeah.
I have related questions actually. My question is, this privacy decentralization and data permanence naturally take more computation than when it has less privacy decentralization and etc. And the second question, if it does have a formal proof, then where do you draw the line where like it's efficient enough for people to be able to use, and more, where it's practical and where people can use it scalably?
I think in my experience, like with a lot of these technologies, they're pretty quickly comes a point where the biggest inefficiency is not like technological weakness that comes with cryptography. The bigger inefficiency becomes user experience. And I think encryption was there for a very long time. I think zero-knowledge proofs are basically already there, like they're finally efficient enough that that's the problem right now, right? Because right now on my computer, right, a zk arc takes about 1 second to generate, but it takes like 1 minute to like go through the complicated Railway UI, right? And so, and then like if you look at Fileverse, I think it's like the cryptography parts are not really adding much complexity. Often decentralization parts add more complexity because it's like harder to make something that's decentralized and like stable, but it's improving, right? And then what I find happens is that the quality of these pieces of software, like it slowly improves, and as it improves, like the number of bugs goes down, features get added, it becomes acceptable for more and more people, and that's how these things like slowly become mainstream, right? And so I think like this happens to Signal over the last 10 years. I think this happens to Fileverse now, where like, I think this year it's like on like reaching that point where I would feel comfortable. Just, I mean, I already feel comfortable giving a Fileverse document to a non-technical person to read. And it's reaching the point where I'd feel comfortable like suggesting that a non-technical person uses Fileverse to write. For like, blockchain tools, I mean, I think it's kind of in the middle. I think for privacy, I believe this year it will cross that gap where like it becomes a default and like that the difference in extra effort doesn't matter much. So I think it really, it depends on each application.
Thank you so much. Can I have like one little question? So about the cost, like how do you convince more people to use it if it costs more and it takes more time to get acquainted with?
I think it all depends on like how much more cost and how much more time, right? Because if the difference is small, then like people are able to get used to it and then and then not notice it, right? If the and then often it's easier if on top of like just being more private, you also offer new features that like the existing versions did not have before. Like I remember for me, for example, when I started using Linux, right, which is like the free and open operating system, actually like
what's the distribution you use?
Actually, recently I switched from Ubuntu to Arch. But okay, like I'll tell you one way in which Linux is just obviously better than Windows today. When you install Windows for the first time, there's like basically no way to install it without connecting to the internet and adding a Microsoft account. This was not true 10 years ago. This is like a new dystopian, terrible thing that they just added recently, right? Linux, no bullshit. Like you just install it. You can install, like if you're in a submarine at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, you can install Linux, right? So this is like a big, but 10 years ago, I remember the one very practical advantage of Linux that attracted me was workspaces. There was this concept where like inside of your desktop, you could have sort of 4 like or whatever number of virtual desktops, and you can like basically very quickly like click to switch from one to the other. And this just made it much more convenient for me to move between different applications than Windows. And this is something that like Windows could have added, right? But they didn't. And like the fact that Linux did actually like made me like helped make me a very loyal fan who would then not be willing to switch back like very early, right? So
even in the gaming space, the original Windows space, the Linux experience is much better now.
Thank you so much.
Any other question on Cypherpunk?
Hello, Vitalik. So, like, I would like to preface this question by saying I'm also Chinese Canadian, so we do benefit a lot from our passports, and also that my partner and I bought like a property in this small town called Hegan in China. It's only 5,000 Canadian, and living there actually made me think a lot about how like a lot of these real world problems stem from asymmetric risks. Because the reason why the property is as cheap as it is right now is because a little bit history, it was a resource-rich city, but it was depleted, and the residents have to bear the risk of the real estate collapse, right? So once again, my question here, because I know you're a tech person, but you're becoming increasingly this symbol for this cyberpunk movement. So you sort of have to, I guess, bear the political burden of some of the things that you think about. So one thing I want to ask you is who do you think bears the risk while we continue to stake ourselves to our belief, whether that's Ethereum, cyberpunk, or going fast and breaking things? And why us? So there's this Chinese term called 凭什么, right? So why us? In other words, why do we deserve to travel around the world, going to places, especially third world countries, for arbitrage, right? And building these virtual ideals and staking our claim on our version of freedom, right? Because I think cyberpunk movement is becoming more political. So this is the kind of questions that I'm curious what your mind's at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, for me, this is also at the core of, why, both open source and even taking a lot of these active efforts to build communities is so important, right? Is that actually everyone is more protected when these kinds of technologies can be widely used by more people. Actually, this is something that's fundamental to anonymization, right? Is that if you have an anonymization tool that's only used by 1,000 people, then if someone sees that someone used the tool, they already know that there's 1,000 plus people that it possibly could have been, and then they only need to know one or two extra things, and then they can figure out that it's you, right? And so increasing usage and making these things broadly useful and even by more normal people is actually pretty important for the success, right? And I think it's something that there's also this question of what kinds of risks are we actually trying to mitigate, right? And there's lots of people in the world who have very different kinds of risks that they're dealing with, right? And sometimes it's enthusiasts and people who don't have much risk yet, but they believe in the ideas. Sometimes it's people who actually have some physical risk of being attacked, right? There was recently this situation where there was an insider in the French tax authority who got bribed to reveal information, and he revealed addresses of wealthy Bitcoin holders, and then that information was used to kidnap and extort money from people, right? Also, I personally talk to people who use things like graphene and Signal, who are political activists, people including in Russia, for example, in other countries as well. This is something that for people is actually reducing risk that they go to jail. There's also people for whom a lot of these things are just global economic opportunity, right? Because a lot of the centralized internet is very country locked, and it's ChatGPT. It's not even usable inside China right now, right? It's and that's actually not even because of the Chinese firewall, right? That's because of the ChatGPT side policy, right? There are a lot of financial things are very dependent on which country you're from. A lot of and the internet, if you log on to the internet from the wrong country, you have to go through 10 captchas every time you do something, right? And these a lot of these kind of open properties of these technologies also inherently make them more accessible. And to me, one of the aspects of making all of this successful is actually building tools that are concretely successful to people who have all of these kinds of needs. And that's like, this is actually one of those things that I think like the blockchain space often struggles with, right? Like I think it succeeded well for the use case of moving money around, and like it's a lifeline for a huge number of people. But then if you try to move beyond that, then it's like basically this like tool that only a few people use, and they're not actually even gaining freedom, they're just like gaining the hope that numbers go up more, right? And like actually with some of these newer applications, the fact that they're actually providing these stronger properties is something that really matters, right? And so I think like these are all things that are important to continue working on.
Tend to be like protecting cryptocurrencies as an asset.
Right. Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because as you guys mentioned, lots of about the applications about how ordinary people can use to protect their privacy, right? But in China, like for example, I live in Shenzhen, and every house have a QR code to manage the people. So every time I think about the cyberpunk, this idea, and but I just think about what the situation I live. So I think like the signal this app cannot change the situation I live. So I wonder if you guys have some advice about how can I better to provide my privacy.
中国特色问题是，
你要回答吗？
我没有什么回答。
Yeah, I mean, I will say that like physical privacy is just fundamentally a much harder problem than digital privacy, right? It's, I mean, it is like it's actually pretty scary how like easy it is to accidentally leak information, right? Because right now, like probably if someone had a microphone outside of this window, like they would be able to hear someone typing on a keyboard and like potentially even pick up their password, right? And this is, I mean, this is challenging. And like I think, like even in situations where it's difficult to have much privacy, like having at least, being able to have at least some is important. And of course, it's important for that to actually be meaningful. And like the digital piece is like I think it is still a piece that is very I mean it's very important just because like your digital activity is something that like potentially anyone in the whole world could be interested in and could even use to kind of like digitally exploit you. But I mean for the physical case, like this is something that like when I talk to people who think about this problem, I remember I was on this panel with this like science fiction author who's thought about like privacy type topics for a bit, and the conversation always just starts with like it's very hard and we've fallen behind so much already, and so it's one where I like this the space is definitely much further behind than thinking about anything digital. And the place that I would start is just like actually thinking about kind of like what even are the goals that you want to begin with, right? Because like I think in the digital world, the goals are like kind of easy to understand, right? Like I want to be able to talk to my mom where only I and my mom actually can see the messages that we're exchanging, right? And like this is a clear goal that you can understand, and it's clear that like you can actually achieve it by like using like things like Signal, right? But the what are equivalents of this in the physical world? I think the answer for this is also going to be very different in different countries, right? Like what are the goals and what are the targets? And it's important to start thinking about more.
Thank you.
So can we have the digital privacy when we in the breakout time? like in the Myanmar or the Iran?
No, I mean, Iran is a challenging case, right? Because right now there's the blackout happening where basically, yeah, like a lot of people use Starlink and this is their lifeline to access the global internet. But then the government is like basically putting powerful jamming machines, and like most of the time right now it's successfully able to prevent these Starlink connections from happening. And there are like instances where people are able to get online like briefly for like short to like medium periods of time, but like even then like only some people, right? And only for like short amounts of time, and like that's it, right? And so there, like, it's not even just a matter of privacy, it's like just a matter of access, right? And like just access is something that's also so important, right? And a lot of the time, like if you can, if you can provide access, that's something that already gives people very meaningful benefits, right? Like people in those places, they need the ability to organize. They do need the ability often to like to protect their assets, right? Because the banking systems are unreliable, or like the dollars, like the local currencies keep hyperinflating, or it can be seized, or anything can happen to it. So it's like there's definitely a lot of specific things that you can do.
Let's take two last questions.
Question,
Yeah.
I think he's.
I know you are against the AI, but is it possible to decentralize LLM? Because I really cannot live with I really cannot live without LLM because it helps me with mundane tasks, make my life easier. Everything is much more smoother, and I'm much more productive in my work as a researcher when I get LLM,
Yeah, I mean, so the easiest way is to run AI locally, right? And that works for small models, that works for like for some like medium models, but not the very big ones. Right now, there isn't like the best thing you can do to bigger open models is you can run them inside of a trusted execution environment, and there's like the security of those things is like kind of sketchy, and they keep getting broken, but it's still like much better than not having one, right? And there's providers that are doing that. Then if you want to use the closed models, then like the best you can get in terms of privacy is of course to like access them like without with an account that you get anonymously, which is like something you can do with OpenRouter if you just like keep creating new addresses and funds them with Railgun, but like even that's very imperfect because it's easy to gather a lot of information about you after even a few queries. So like all of that, there is a very active open local LLM ecosystem, but it does really needs to improve more.
How far ahead or far behind is the system?
It's hard to quantify. It depends on the use cases, right? For some use cases, it's basically like top of the line already. But only for the basic ones, right? Like things like translation, transcription, a lot of like local like assistant stuff, text to speech, like local LLMs are totally fine for that. There's no reason to call into servers for it. Actually, even a lot of the mainstream stuff, like even like Apple use local models for this already. But then, like one of my views is that if we want, so local models are inherently going to be much smaller than the centralized ones, right? If we want that space to be competitive, the advantage you have to lean on is that local models are more friendly to fine-tuning, right? And so, like we need like a much better, I think, fine-tuning ecosystem, even like personal fine-tuning tools that try to make fine-tuning more useful.
I think this is a very cool idea. Yeah, and we should decentralize fine-tuning and also make it more, and we can also prove that it's fine-tuning with such data.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that gentleman.
Yeah, thank you for being the last one. So, hi Vitalik.
Yeah.
So my last question is actually very realistic. So, because I've been investing into like privacy protocols for the past 8 years into a lot of like new early projects. And I think everyone in the room, we all love privacy, but if you go out on the street, you're asking like random people or your like friends not in Web3, I think a lot of people find privacy irrelevant. So which means that they don't want to pay any extra like dollar or like time for exchange for privacy. So my question is, how much percentage of the population do you think is the ultimate adopter of the privacy? Or in other words, do you believe that our ending game will be in a parallel world where like 10% of people will adopt privacy at a premium and other 90% of people will just like give up their privacy in exchange for like cheaper like service or providers? Yeah.
So I think one piece of good news is that like that is changing, right? So I think one kind of mistake that people make thinking about privacy is that they think that like privacy is inherently anti-institutional and like something that the government will oppose, and so if you're choosing it, you're inherently fighting the government and all of these things. And increasingly, like that's not true, right? So like for example, the European Union has huge amounts of privacy regulation, right? And like a lot of that is even counterproductive, right? And it just requires people to click buttons more, right? But there is like even
and the U.S. government just uses Signal.
Yes, the U.S. government uses Signal, yes, but like even at the highest levels of the like the EU, for example, there's a lot of desire to not have all of their data be snooped on by like the U.S. and Palantir and all of those entities, for example, right? And like actually recently they've started pushing. Officially pushing open source with the goal of increasing their technological and data sovereignty. So, like and then in companies, a lot of companies have company policies that like strictly control like where data can be copied to, what applications you can use for data protection purposes. So. These are like things that a lot of institutions are willing to care about, and like basically, everyone is afraid of their data being snooped on by someone, right? And I think the way that adoption works is we need to have an enthusiast community, right? Like we need to have this early adopter community that's really interested in these tools, that is excited about like going up to this higher level of privacy, security, openness, and like chooses things on this basis, is even willing to accept some inconvenience. And then when these things become mainstream, realistically, it's not the people that are doing the most work. It would be institutions doing the most work, right? Like even including mainstream companies, right? One thing that I recently, saw on my travels to Europe is that like there's literally NordVPN being advertised at in-person stores, and so like these. Like even like in institutions, like these kinds of things are happening, right? And so that is something that like I think we do need to kind of avoid falling into the trap of saying we are against all institutions. Like we do need to, I think, like be willing to kind of cooperate with people and like understand that these kinds of alignments exist, and like that's also a really effective way of like actually making sure that many millions of people gets to benefit from all of these things.
And I think HTTPS is one of the a very good example of adoption of the cryptographic protocols. Yeah. And we can take one last question.
Hi, my name's Matthew. I should preface this by saying I'm actually co-founder of an educational startup, but we could maybe argue that traditional education is like kind of centralized with perhaps one curriculum and one truth. And I'm wondering in the current environment where people are becoming more pushed to the fringes into their own echo chambers. And with AI taking the lead in knowledge acquisition in things like STEM, if we should be more focused, or our education should be more focused on teaching people to better understand each other.
Yeah, and I think one of the big problems in our society is that we have this philosophy of education where you're in this centralized but also very well curated environment up until age 18 and then sort of maybe age 22, and then you flip over into the real world, and then suddenly that all goes down to zero, right? And you're basically on your own, and you're absorbing information often from people whose interests are very misaligned with you, right? And especially as technology is improving, people's need to continue learning throughout their whole life increases. And so trying to create more opportunities to help people learn skills, to give teach people new things and to have that be kind of administered and run by people where both as a user you have a lot of choice, and also the people the people creating things by default have motivations that are at least more aligned with pro-social goals. I think it's absolutely something that we need more of.
Cool, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Franz Vitalik, and thank you, Kurt.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're closing this session, and just a few quick notes. First is about the food. We do have some food, longevity food dinner over there. It's not a full dinner. We only prepared around 60 people, so feel free to grab something, but if you can, just don't grab a full portion. This is meant to be now from 6 to 7 o'clock. It's a free share session where you guys can eat, drink, talk, and stay as long as you want. So there's no formal structure now, and use the time to continue your conversation, question, meet new people, and connect in this ecosystem. And later in the evening at 7 p.m., we're gonna have a film screening here, and there'll be a Sundance selected documentary called The Cleansers. And this is not a film about social media moderation. It's a film about power, censorship, invisible labor, and governance, which we talked earlier today. So behind every so-called automated platform, there are real humans making impossible decisions, deciding what stays visible, what disappears, and who bears the psychological cost. For a community that care about decentralization, cyberpunk values, and system design, this is a conversation we cannot avoid. So the screening is 7 o'clock, and yeah, you guys can feel free to find some drink and food. And thank you for joining Together Tuesday. If you want, just join the summit, and tomorrow is the hackathon. Thank you, guys.
Hi everyone, welcome to Forces Curtain. Nowadays we provide Brian Johnson's blueprint longevity recipes every day for the lunch and dinner. And for today, we prepare blueprint meal, prune green smoothie, chilpel stew and chilpel rice, black lantern and olive salads. And feel free to eat the food here. And if you are interested with longevity community, you can scan code to participate with us. Thank you. Enjoy your dinner.
Sorry about that. It's hard to do this all on my own. I need a sound engineer. If anyone's watching, I need a sound engineer. I need someone to give me a team because I can't do this all on my own and make good music. But let's try now. Should only wage war. Butterflies and love pollinate the infinite garden. It's not just a place for fun. Decentralized, permissionless, and open sourced. Even with the layer 1 as a shield and the layer 2 as our sword. All we need to wage in a war is butterflies and love. Because a theory of Yeah.
Just send it to TK. Just send it to TK because I'll have to go for another.
I'll send it as I always send it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I just don't think I can do this streaming thing as a musician. Just can't get it all on my own. Hit. Feedback is my enemy right now. We should only wage war with butterflies and love, pollinate the infinite garden. It's not just a place for fun, decentralized, permissionless, and orphan souls. Even the layer one as a shield and the layer two as our soul. All we need to wage in a war is butterflies and love. Because Ethereum is a positive sum built by and for everyone. Hey, don't let the arrows pointed at you ever pierce your lovely heart. From the start, you were the heartbeat of the Ethereum foundation. You taught us the power of subtraction, and from the start, you did not want a title. That's why we have such fertile soil to grow strong and tall, as equal in the infinite garden, which grows tall and strong. It makes us all look small in the infinite garden. Yeah, yeah. Hey, Solana, we can be your soy boy brother. We don't have to fight a war for users or developers. We build apps that bridge us all together. Competition can be over because Ethereum is a positive sound built by and for everyone. Hey, Bitcoin, lucky you were never called a shitcoin. You were the first to inspire our Ethereum co-creator. His magazine was just an ordinary page turner. Even though we don't know your founder, psychedelic found inspiration from your magical ledger. Yeah, yeah. So we should only wage war. Butterflies and love, pollinate the infinite garden. It's not just a place for fun. Centralized, permissionless, and open source. The layer one as a shield, the layer two as our soul. All we need to wage in a war is butterflies and love. Because Ethereum is a positive sound built by and for everyone. Hey, Ethereum, I still love you most of all. You are the world computer built by all my brothers and sisters. Together we don't have to fight a war. All we need is butterflies and love to pollinate the infinite garden. Which grows silent strong. It makes us all look small in the infinite garden. Yeah, yeah. In frustration, the confrontation, they drop in atomic bomb on a planet we share as one. And I have a frustration. They also tested those fucking bombs in our oceans. And now you see with the plastic eye, it's choking our reefs. Now you see nation of this earth must be collaboration of every nation. Whoa, whoa. For the planet we share as one. This is a planet we share as one. It don't matter if you count up the web 1, 2, or 3. All can evolve like we evolve technology. And now you see it's real cool. Experiment like you see at the permanent location here in 4C. We can build and go work and live in community and test our own technology so we can see how we can share it openly for the world to build and fork and share. Like open source knowledge can go everywhere because we care to see that we can be. We can be. It's a planet we share as one. Build it up like a Lego. The world computer called Ethereum. Frustration that you bordering nations have to fight for the greed, fucking mass manipulation. Why this world has to be a typical situation? Planet we share as one. It's a planet we share as one. I have a frustration that two bordering nations have to fight for the greed for civilization. Why does war have to be a typical situation? For a planet we share as one. It's a planet we share as one. And we can build it up like a layer one. The world computer called Ethereum. Cause it don't matter if we count up to web 1, 2 or 3. We all can evolve like we evolve our technology. And now we see this real cool experiment like we got her permanently here at 4C. We can build and test and dog food our own technology in community where we share it openly with all humanity. So we can see that we can be free in a planet we share as one. Planet we share as one. And we can build it up like a layer one. The world computer called Ethereum. We can build it up like a layer one. World computer called Ethereum. Cause it's a planet we share as one. Yeah, yeah. Is the food gone? Todo es posible, todo es posible, todo es posible. Todo es posible, todo es posible, todo es posible. Every day's a day of light. Every day's a day of light. It's a day in paradise. Every day's a day of light. Every day's a day of light. It's a day in paradise. Todo es posible. Todo es posible. Todo es posible. Todos los días son días de luz, son días de luz. Hoy es un día paraíso. ETH ChiangMai. Everything's possible. Todo es posible. Todo es posible. Todo es posible. Take it. Adios. Aloha, friends. Blessings from ETH ChiangMai. Bye, TK. Thank you very much. See you at the summit or the hackathon tomorrow at the hackathon at Chiang Mai University. We'll be streaming. So bye. Good night. Chi Chi. Waan.